Hello and welcome everyone. It's Shanna. So glad you're here today. Now again today I am shopping my stash and I'm working with some older product that I have, and I have got the stitched holiday tree from Spellbinders. And you can stitch this with felt or you can use it for paper. And today we're going to use it for paper for our card. We're just going to make a wintry Christmas tree scene. And I've got all the bits and pieces here, and I'm going to do some stitching, and I have sped it up. I'm going to use some silver metallic floss from Spellbinders. You can pick it up in the shop. And I'm just going to take a piece of tape and hold down my starting point. I'm not going to tie it or make a knot or anything like that because we're going to glue it down. And so I thought I would stitch this first piece to just show you how easily you can do it. Now I'm just going, in this particular piece of the tree, you're going to go into the top hole twice because you have two bottom holes that are going to go through it. And so I'm just running it along the back and then in through the top and then into the second hole and back into that hole and then moving on to the next one. Now I am using my fingers to kind of hold the thread taut so that I'll have nice straight lines and I don't have a lot of gapping in my thread, and then that'll make it lay very nicely on your card. So it's super simple. And it was really very quick. I think I did this piece in just 4 minutes, so you can do it, and the other two pieces would be much quicker because there's less thread that you need. And so I'm just going to take another piece of tape and then just tape it down and trim that off. I am going to get a fresh piece of thread to do my other two just so I don't run out. But here you go. You can see that I've got all three of my pieces of Christmas tree stitched, and we've got the ends taped on all of them. I just used some tiny little pieces to tape the smaller ones so that it doesn't show. Didn't want the green mint tape to show, through the holes that are in my little stitched areas. Now these are the decorative elements here, and you've got two layers. I chose for the navy layer to be on top and then the white layer to be on the bottom. And so we're just going to get these glued up and get them laid down as decorative trim. And this is going to be a really simple card, and it'll come together pretty quickly. In fact, this video is only about 12 minutes long. So, but I've just been on a quest. I've got my squeaky chair here to just go through. And actually most everything that I have been saying is older stash is last year's Christmas release from Spellbinders. And I've checked them to make sure they are available in the shop in case you're interested in them. I will link everything in the description box below. And then hopefully if you have this product, maybe it will encourage you to dig it back out and to work with it again this year and maybe provide some inspiration. So now this particular die doesn't require a lot of large pieces and stuff. So you could use your scraps on it and kind of use it as a scrap builder card, because the die cut pieces are not very large and you might have some scraps in there, and then the trim pieces aren't very large either. So if you have scraps, I would recommend doing that. I've been doing some cards as well that I've thought were scrap busters and trying to work through the scraps that are in my stash. I actually took the other day, I keep them in I think they're called stash stacks from Spellbinders, and I just was throwing all of my scraps into it. It's just like a clear container with a lid. And then the other day I thought I'm going to take a minute and just organize them. And so I put them into sleeves by color inside the stash. And it's made it a lot easier for me to see what I've got and to just grab a certain color scheme out and use those and bust them. So I'm really trying to work those scraps down. I did a little bit of reorganizing in my craft room the other day and some cleanup, and I think that's what prompted me to do it. So I've got all of my tree elements laid together, and I'm going to bring in, I thought I'd reintroduce the silver. Since I'm using the silver metallic thread, I'm just going to bring some Spellbinders silver metallic cardstock in. And I'm just checking it looks like the right size. I'm checking to see where my cut is so I can tell whether I want to which side I want to glue down. And I decide the metallic, and I'm looking around thinking what I want to do here. The metallic takes a minute to grab a hold and to stick. And if you're not careful and you look away and it moves, it'll be glued down crooked or whatever. So I thought I'm just going to grab my foam tape and just not worry about the glue issue and just stick it down with this on my card base, and we'll just have some dimension on this card. And I'm actually going to do that with the other layer that I attached to the metallic. So we're going to have 2 layers of foam tape. And it's really not, not too thick. So I've got this panel that I actually used to die cut out the decorative navy blue trim. And I intentionally did it in the center of the cardstock so that I could use this for my back layer and make the most out of my cardstock. Now, I did grab the plate D thinking this was a 3D embossing folder, but it's not. It's just a regular. So this is an embossing folder of the month. It's called Holiday Flurries, and it's got some ferns and just some holiday detail on it, and some snowy elements, I think. And I thought I would just use it. And I'm also going to bring in a piece of white cardstock, and I have got my scalloped and stitched edge ovals, and I'm going to use this to create just a base panel that I can kind of ground my tree on and cover up, the areas that I die cut out of that navy blue panel. And I'm pretty well zoomed in on this, but I think I'm able to keep everything in frame for the video. I did this kind of later in the evening. I got my jammies on, and you can see through there, you can see the difference, but you won't when we get it laid down on there. You could actually see where I had die cut those things out when I held it up to the light. But once you get everything layered, you won't be able to see it. And we've got some pretty embossed detail on there. And then we'll have the metallic background. And I'm just taking my time, make sure I get it lined up on there. And then we'll go ahead and add some more foam to the back of it. So let me know if you've been enjoying kind of this revisit to older products. I generally in the month have some space between club kits, Spellbinders new release, and other obligations, and so I'm always looking to fill my channel with some different things. And so for this reason, I've chosen to kind of backfill with some of my older product and to use it, because a lot of things I might have only used just one time when it was released, got the video out when it was released, and then stowed it away, and since then forgotten about it. So here it is. So I don't know how many of you guys have had these types of trees, these Christmas trees that they come in 3 pieces and you just connect them for your Christmas tree. The one that I have now is, I think it's 4 pieces. Back in the day, I had a tree that had individual limbs, and it took forever to assemble because you had to put each little limb in its little hole or pocket that it went in. I was so thrilled when they came out with the newer trees where they're combined into pieces like this, and you can just go 1, 2, 3, 4 and done. It makes it so much easier to put up your Christmas tree, and I'm loving it. Now you can see the foam through the top of that because it is kind of thick foam. So these, because of the thread and kind of layering it on top, I'm really having to press to get it to adhere and get it to stick. And that silver metallic thread definitely adds some sparkle to the Christmas tree. Now you could choose, you can see there it's not wanting to stick, so I'm going to have to give it a good press and just kind of hold it. You could also choose to, I could have die cut out, I'm sure, well, in fact, I could use those decorative dies, and I could have used those with silver and came out with some little tiny circles and embellished the tree with some bulb-looking things. Or even I have other die sets that have Christmas bulbs in it. In fact, I used one recently. I can't think of what video it was, but anyway, and add some bulbs to the tree. But I just chose to let the stitching be the decor. And the stitching with that silver metallic kind of reminds me of that old school tinsel that you used to get in a bag, and you would separate it and put all of these little thin strips of tinsel on your card or on your tree. And boy, was it a mess cleaning it up. In the end, we came across some of that at Target the other day. I was shopping with my youngest daughter, and we saw that, and she said, "Oh, look at this." And I said, "Yeah, we used to put that on our trees." I said, "It adds all the sparkle and the shine." So I'm getting the star on top of the tree, and I just continued with my 3 layers, my blue, my white, and my dark blue. And that pretty much is all of that die set, basically. And then I did dig through, I've got that little dish with a lid on it that has all the little Christmas sentiments in it. And I dug through it and pulled out a couple. And I was thinking about pairing 2 of them together, and then I decided not to do that. I'm just going to use this Christmas time. And this is one that has been better pressed and die cut out. And I'm just going to add it to my tree, and we'll get my sentiment on there, and that'll pretty much finish off the card. We're going to bring in some embellishments because we've got quite a bit of white space left on our card. And I've got these silver, it's a silver mix from Spellbinders. You've got all the different sizes, and I thought we would just, bring in some more of that silver and just kind of keep our card, just keeping with the color scheme of the card that we've got going. And I'm just going to lay several of these. I've got several of them, and I'm just going to sprinkle the small ones around on both sides. And we've got a really simple card. But just encourage you to dig through your stash, find what you've got, and get it out and use it. So I'm giving that sentiment another press, and that pretty much is going to finish off our card. And I'll get it in frame so you can see the whole thing here in a minute, I think. There we go. So I've taken a picture so you can see it up close. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.